ITA for literally shitting on my girlfriend's family's floor during a party and then pretending it wasn't me. I know the title sounds insane, but honestly, this entire situation was a complete nightmare. I'm 32, and recently I finally got to see my girlfriend again after being away for work for almost 2 months. I had been across the country working on a project, so I was genuinely excited to spend time with her and her family again. I actually get along really well with her entire family, including her extended relatives. When I arrived at the house, her father, who's a chef, had cooked this huge, amazing meal for everyone. The atmosphere was incredible. Great food, drinks, music, everyone laughing and having a good time. I'll admit I had a few drinks pretty quickly because everyone was celebrating and the mood was really relaxed. Then more family members started arriving, including some cousins I hadn't met before. And honestly, we were all hitting it off really well. But after a while, I started feeling a little nauseous and dizzy. At first, I assumed it was just exhaustion from the 8-hour flight mixed with the alcohol. Now, this next part is important. I have IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and I take medication for it. So when I suddenly felt like I needed to use the bathroom, I figured it was just that acting up. I went into the bathroom, sat down on the toilet, pulled out my phone, and started scrolling while doing my business. Everything seemed normal at first. Then, while I was in the middle of releasing a very large disaster, I suddenly lost my balance and slipped sideways off the toilet slightly. I managed to catch myself and sit back up again, but honestly I was dizzy enough that I didn't really think much about it afterward. I cleaned myself up, washed my hands, and just walked back out to the party, assuming everything was fine. We all kept hanging out, talking, drinking, laughing. The vibes honestly still felt amazing. Then suddenly one of my girlfriend's cousins walked into the kitchen looking horrified and whispered something to another relative. A second later we heard someone yell, "What the fuck?" from the hallway. Everyone immediately stopped talking and started walking toward the bathroom to see what happened. And that's when I saw it. There was apparently a disgusting trail of crap smeared around the side of the toilet and across parts of the bathroom floor. It looked absolutely horrifying. My girlfriend's dad walked over, looked inside, and immediately yelled, "What the fuck?" too. At that point, my soul basically left my body. I completely panicked. Instead of admitting what happened, I stupidly tried blaming one of the other cousins. I awkwardly said something like, "I think Tucker looked kinda sick earlier," trying to throw suspicion somewhere else. But then, in the worst possible timing imaginable, Tucker immediately walked into the room and said, "What the fuck? Are you serious?" Which basically destroyed my attempt at shifting blame instantly. At that point, I was internally panicking harder than I've ever panicked in my life. There were around 8 people there, but most of them had only recently arrived, and I was basically the only person everyone knew had used the bathroom recently. Then somehow things got even worse. My girlfriend's mother actually started crying because the entire dinner atmosphere had been ruined. Her dad and brother eventually went into the bathroom together to clean everything up while everyone else stood around awkwardly pretending not to react. I went back into the kitchen and tried acting normal, but the energy for the rest of the night was unbelievably tense and uncomfortable. Honestly, I'm pretty sure my girlfriend suspects it was me, even though nobody directly called me out. I never admitted it because I was so embarrassed. I genuinely felt like I was going to die on the spot if I confessed. But now I feel awful because I basically ruined the entire evening and let her family clean up my literal mess. So honestly, am I the asshole? AITA for withholding sex from my partner. I know how the title sounds, but please hear me out before judging me. I'm 29, my partner is 31, and we've been together for almost 10 years now. Honestly, in almost every aspect of our relationship, we're a perfect match. We get along incredibly well, we love each other deeply, and we work great together. Except when it comes to sex. During the first few years of our relationship, we both had really high sex drives and we were intimate constantly. But around 6 years ago, my partner's libido completely dropped from very high to almost non-existent. At first, I questioned whether something was wrong, and she blamed it on stress because at the time we were going through a lot financially and emotionally, which honestly made sense back then. But eventually we got through all of those struggles. Financially, socially, emotionally, we're actually in a really stable and happy place now. She genuinely seems happy with her life overall. But despite that, her sex drive never came back. And honestly, I don't think I'm an idiot. I've tried basically everything I could think of to reconnect with her romantically. Romantic dinners, massages, date nights, flirting more, buying toys, planning outings. Honestly, if you can think of it, I've probably already tried it. And I want to be clear, I wasn't doing those things in some manipulative I did this so now you owe me sex kind of way. I genuinely enjoy making her happy because I love her. But the problem is, if she's not already in the mood, nothing changes that. It doesn't matter what I do. And after years of constantly being rejected, eventually I started taking it personally. She keeps insisting it's not about me. She says things like, I haven't lost attraction to you, and I'd turn anyone down right now, not just you. But honestly, rejection still hurts. There are only so many times you can initiate intimacy and get rejected before even trying starts feeling humiliating. I gently encouraged her to maybe see a doctor or check if it could be hormonal or medical somehow. But she insists nothing is wrong and says it's normal for people to want less sex as they get older. So honestly, we've been stuck at this same impasse for years now. Now, here's where I might actually be the asshole. About 29 days out of the month, she has absolutely zero interest in sex. But once a month, maybe for 1 or 2 days, suddenly she's completely in the mood. During those days, she initiates heavily and makes it very obvious she wants sex. And even if I'm not really feeling it, she pushes because in her mind I always want sex anyway. But for the last 8 months or so, whenever those rare days happen, I've started turning her down. I explained to her that once or twice a month honestly isn't enough for me emotionally anymore, and at this point it almost feels worse than nothing at all. It hurts constantly being rejected and then only being intimate strictly on her schedule, whenever she randomly decides she wants it. She argues that it's unfair for me to expect sex from her when she's not in the mood, which honestly I agree with. I don't want pity sex. That sounds awful for both of us. But then she says I'm withholding sex out of spite whenever she actually wants it. I tried explaining that it genuinely isn't revenge. It's more that the situation itself has become a huge turnoff for me emotionally. Knowing that if we sleep together tonight, there's a good chance she won't even want me again for another entire month. Honestly, it kills my desire. And to be brutally honest, when I turn her down and she doesn't get what she wants, she suddenly becomes more flirtatious, more affectionate, and pays more attention to me overall. And after years of rejection, it actually feels good to feel desired again. She says I'm being selfish and slowly destroying our relationship. Her argument is that a little sex is better than no sex, and that what I'm doing is eventually going to lead to us breaking up. And honestly, I don't want to break up with her. I still love her deeply. Our relationship is genuinely amazing in every other area. That's why I've spent years trying to solve this instead of walking away. But at the same time, I can't go back to pretending everything is fine when emotionally it really isn't anymore. Some people have asked whether medication or birth control could be causing this. She's not on birth control anymore because she stopped taking it years ago after disliking the side effects. She's also not on any regular medication. We don't have children and don't plan to have any. Honestly, after reading comments online, I'm starting to realize that maybe what I'm doing isn't helping solve anything either. Maybe turning her down just keeps both of us stuck in this unhealthy cycle. But at the same time, it genuinely doesn't feel fair to hear. When I say no, it's because I'm not in the mood. But when you say no, you secretly want sex and are only refusing out of spite because honestly, that's not true. Of course, I'm still physically attracted to her. Of course, I still get horny. But emotionally, the entire situation has become exhausting and painful for me. Maybe I'm handling this badly. Maybe I'm being immature. Or maybe I've just reached the point where years of rejection finally changed the way I feel about intimacy completely. Honestly, I don't know anymore. So read it. Am I the asshole?